What if there was a safe space for you to explore artificial intelligence? What if there was a team of friendly professionals waiting to help you examine what you can do with AI in your courses? Welcome to the world of what if.
Hello, everybody. And like Shannon said, thank you so much for the great introduction. My name is Madison Hecker. I am an instructional design assistant here at FAU COSI. I have a background in education. It was K-12, now I'm in higher ed, and I am loving every second of it. Today, I am excited to talk to all of you about generating effective rubrics. We're going to be using Microsoft's artificial intelligence tool, Copilot. I'll show you how to use that in a little bit. So we'll start by talking about the importance of rubrics. Why do we even need them in the first place? Then I'll tell you what Copilot needs from you to generate a rubric. Once it gives you a rubric, we'll talk about how to make it better and to better suit your needs in your course. And we'll end by showing you how to put it into Canvas. So let's go ahead and get started by talking about why rubrics are important. Why do we need them? First of all, they provide transparency for students. Students know exactly what assignments or what they need to do for the assignment. They know what the criteria you're looking for are. They know what gets a good score and what gets a bad score. Also, for your sake, it helps you ensure easy and consistent grading. Instead of just comparing two different assignments or several different assignments into what's in your head, you have a physical paper or a rubric showing you exactly what you want, and it helps you grade more consistently so students know exactly why they got the score they got. Lastly, it also helps you align assessments with learning objectives. So for example, if your assignment is asking them to write a persuasive essay, you wouldn't want to have a criteria on your rubric saying to compare or contrast something. That wouldn't make sense with your assignment. So that's why rubrics are important. Now we know why. Let's look at two different rubrics and see which one is a good rubric and which one is not so good. So this is the first rubric we're going to look at. It has different criteria: introduction, body, conclusion, grammar, and citations. So this has criteria and it has points, but there's two things I'm going to point out. One of those, the points aren't specific. Students don't know what earns them a 10 versus what earns them a 0. They don't know for their body what earns them 40 points. That's a lot of points, and they have no idea how to get them or what earns them 0 on that. The second thing I want to point out is students don't know what you're looking for in the introduction. What do you need in the introduction? What do they need in the body? They don't know, so it's harder for them to get to do the assignment that you're hoping for them to produce for you. So this rubric has criteria, has points, but it could be improved. So let's go ahead and look at a better rubric. This rubric has criteria still and has points, but it is broken down much better for students. They can see exactly what gets them excellent accuracy or why they got poor grammar. Because they can look, if they got poor grammar, they have frequent grammar errors and unclear sentences. And maybe they got good accuracy and they want excellent accuracy. They can see the difference between those two and they know what to do for next time. They can see exactly why and how they got what they got. So let's go ahead and talk about what Copilot needs from you. We know why we need rubrics, now let's start making them. Copilot needs 4 different things from you to make a rubric. It needs the assignment description. So when we open up for playtime later, I'll give you a chance to go look in Canvas and find an assignment you have, and you'll put that description into Copilot. Then you also want to give it your learning objectives. Let's say, for example, it was a persuasive essay. You would say, your objective would be to write a persuasive essay, or something like that. Criteria categories, this would be what you want to assess. So on my previous rubrics, we had structure, accuracy, compare and contrast, grammar and style. For maybe a math assignment, you would want to see their level of showing their work or explaining why they got their answer. For a creative assignment, you might want to assess their ability to show that they understood the interpretation of the art piece or something like that. Lastly, you would want to give Copilot performance levels. You can choose any levels that you want. You can say met or not met if you just want black and white. You can say more of a scale, poor, good, excellent, anything that you want. This is fully up to you. That's just 2 suggestions, but it is truly up to you. Once you give this to Copilot, it will give you a rubric, and you might like it, you might not. So let's talk about how to refine the rubric. Once you have a rubric from Copilot, you can adjust the language, add or adjust points, or ensure alignment. There's much more ways you can refine, but these are just 3 I'm going to touch on. So let's say, for example, you're teaching a graduate level course, and this rubric has kind of lower level language, and you want it to be more advanced for your students. You can say, modify this rubric by adjusting the language to fit a higher level or graduate level course. This could also work the other way around. You teach a course for freshmen, and it popped out a rubric that has crazy high language vocabulary. You're like, whoa, my students won't know what those mean yet. So you can adjust it back down to a freshman level course. You can also add or adjust points. My previous rubrics, for example, had 0 to 10, or the good, poor, and excellent had like 0 to 2, 3 to 5, so on. The rubric might not have that the first time it's generated. So you can always ask Copilot to add or adjust those point values. Lastly, you can ensure alignment. So let's go back to the example with persuasion. If you do say, if you give it the criteria for compare and contrast, but your assignment is about persuasion, you can ask Copilot directly, say, does my rubric align with my assignment? And it will tell you the answer. You can even ask it to give you suggestions on what criteria it would use. What criteria would you use for this assignment? And it'll give you some suggestions. So these are just 3 different ways you can refine the rubric, but there are many, many more. And I'll show you one when we get to our demo, which is very soon. So before the demo, I do want to give you the sample prompt that I used, and one of my online facilitators, Ivy, will pop it into the chat for you. All you'll have to do is copy it, paste it into Copilot, which I'll show you how to do in just a moment. And instead of the bracket words, you will delete those and put in your actual details for your assignment. So this is the sample prompt. Please generate a rubric for my course following these guidelines. Assignment description, you'll put it in straight from Canvas. Learning objectives, you'll put your own. Criteria categories, put your own. And performance levels, you'll put your own. So let's go ahead and do an example. I am not an instructor, so I created or pretended to have an undergraduate level philosophy class. My made-up assignment is that I wanted my students to write an essay citing readings from this semester that discusses the philosophical theories and compares and contrasts them. So this is what I wrote for Copilot. I used the exact same template wording. I just got rid of the bracketed words and put in my made-up assignments. Please generate a rubric for my undergraduate level philosophy class following these guidelines. Assignment description, write an essay citing our readings from this semester that discusses the different philosophical theories we've learned so far. Learning objectives, explain common philosophical theories, compare and contrast the common philosophical theories. Criteria categories, structure, accuracy, comparison level, and grammar. And I do like the performance levels excellent, good, and poor for this one. So let me go ahead and pull up Copilot. There are 2 different ways for you to access Copilot. You can Google search Copilot, of course, and find the Copilot website. But a lot of your computers might have the desktop application. It's kind of this colorful thing. When you hover over it, it'll say Microsoft 365, parentheses, Office. So you can click that, but my demo is in the Copilot website. So this is exactly the prompt I just showed you with my imaginary philosophy class put in. Please generate a rubric, so on and so forth. I won't make you listen to me read it again. It's the same one, and this is what Copilot did. Here you go, Madison, a friendly, well-structured rubric you can drop right into your course materials. And this is another way to refine a rubric, because let's see what Copilot did. It did something a little funny. Instead of the usual columns for excellent, good, and poor, and the rows for structure, accuracy, etc., it gave me individual tables for each. So this whole table is structure. It has excellent, good, and poor structure. The next table is accuracy. that's not quite what we want. We want one cohesive table with columns for excellent, good, and poor, and rows for the criteria. So I didn't want it to produce this, but that's okay. We can always modify it. So let's scroll down to my next prompt. I said, please make this into one table with the rows being structure, accuracy, comparison level, and grammar, and the columns being excellent, good, and poor. So if the rubric that it generates isn't what you want, you can always edit it. And luckily it fixed it right away into exactly what I wanted. So let me scroll down so we can see the whole table. So you can see the columns, excellent, good, and poor, exactly what I wanted, and the rows, structure, accuracy, comparison level, and grammar. That is exactly what I was hoping for. So now that it's there are two things I want to mention really quick. One of them I'll show you how to put it into Canvas. And the second thing, every time that I've tried to generate a rubric at least, it offers to convert it into a PDF or a document, but I find it easier to copy and paste it directly into Canvas because Canvas has such a lovely rubric tool for us already. So let's go ahead to my fictional class with my rubric assignment with fictional instructions. And I started this rubric already, so you all wouldn't have to sit and watch me put the whole thing in. But let's show you how to add the last row of grammar. So you're going to click the little pencil icon to edit it. And since we already have the point structures on the other rows, I want to add a criterion and duplicate one of the previous rows so I don't have to do the points all over again. So I'm just going to duplicate this one. I do want to change the description because this is now the grammar row we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and type grammar. And now I have my grammar row with the excellent, good, and poor, but the descriptions aren't done yet because I haven't copied and pasted them. So I'm going to go ahead and click this edit icon, delete the old description that I duplicated, go back to Copilot, find the excellent column and the grammar row, copy and paste. There are two ways to copy. You can right click and click copy, or you can hold the control key on your keyboard and press C. There's two ways to paste, right click, paste, or control V. Then you'll update the rating, and there you go. Excellent grammar, writing is polished and clear, minimal to no grammar, punctuation, or spelling errors. Wonderful. Let's go ahead and do that 2 more times with the the good column. Generally clear writing. Again, delete the duplicated description, paste the grammar one, and lastly, you might have to scroll a little bit to see the full thing. Copy the poor description and paste the poor description. And then you're going to go ahead and make sure you have all of it in right, and then you're going to click Update Rubric, and there it is, all 4 rows and all 3 columns. So that is how you would ask Copilot to generate the rubric for you, modify the rubric, and put it into Canvas.